Journalist Jane Goldman and director Peter Eminer were approached by Flame TV to make a series about the paranormal. They took the idea to Living TV, and a year later Jane Goldman Investigates became a reality.
She came to the channel with this open, inquiring mind. And I thought to myself, this is going to take our paranormal programming to a new level.
Over the next half an hour, we're going behind the scenes with the crew of the series. We'll talk to Jane.
What have I let myself in for?
And the director.
Action!
Ghosts don't turn up necessarily when you expect them to.
And some of the subjects that they met and filmed. We want to find out what it's like to film something that often you can't even see.
Yes, because she's here.
Seriously?
Yes, she's round you now.
How do you make a programme about the paranormal? Tonight, we investigate the series itself.
Just seemed too good an opportunity to pass up, I think, because I'd written books on the paranormal, always been obsessed with the subject, but it was the idea of coming out from behind the safety of a desk and actually getting my hands dirty a bit that really appealed to me.
I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to spend, I don't know, been working on this nearly a year, to spend a year looking at different things and trying to get some different experiences and kind of be more convinced one way or the other.
Here we were going to have an open investigation. All the evidence is presented to the viewer. Jane was willing to throw herself in at the deep end. I mean, you know, I'm so full of admiration for the bravery of her as a journalist to bare her soul, to be followed around for the last year with a camera that has covered her most intimate moments, her most deepest thoughts about this, and to be shown on national telly getting it right, but also getting it wrong, and she'd be the first one to say it didn't work every single time. But there she is, willing to show herself in that light. I think she's a fantastic personality. She's a great presenter, and she's a huge asset for Living TV.
The series was to be an investigation by an open-minded journalist into all aspects of the paranormal.
We chose 10 paranormal subjects, and the idea was that I would spend a month immersed in each, investigating but also learning. Is that good?
That's really good! Oh, good! Yes! Oh, brilliant!
Exciting!
For me, one of the biggest draws of this show was the fact that Jane was going to try each area of the paranormal herself. She was going to test herself, and that's a really exciting challenge.
I hoped that in the course of that I would be able to learn more about the subject, even if I couldn't learn how to actually do it. Did I do it?
You've done it, yeah.
Oh, Tim!
The plan was to focus on Jane's attempts to master the various aspects of the paranormal.
The idea for the series came from us. It's something we all worked up together. So in those discussions, I thought, well, there's somebody who's actually got an interesting take on what we're doing.
What we're going to do is first literally just look at me.
Yeah, you know, I am a skeptic. I never accept someone else's theory. I want to see things for myself. I want truth, and if no one knows the truth yet, I'm prepared to wait for it. And so the thing was, there were some things that I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say I believed in.
I wanted to work with Jane, of course. That was, you know, I'd met Jane before, and she's got a particular way of presenting and relating to people and saying stuff to camera, which is kind of quite unique.
She lights up the screen. She is electric, she's magnetic, she's very special. And I know that our viewers are going to absolutely love her because she's a credible journalist. But much more than that, to our audience, she's a mum. She's a mum with kids, she's a working mum.
And then pick out 3 rooms.
Everyone had good words to say about Jane.
And it was nice doing it with Jane as well, because she's obviously someone who takes a real interest in what she's doing and what she's looking at. She really does look at stuff in quite an objective way.
Because, of course, you've got to be open-minded. You don't have to believe, but you have to be open-minded.
This has appeared so far. No, it's only logical.
And did the rest of the team share Jane's attitude?
I'd never seen a ghost. I'd had some experience of some of the things, you know. I had looked at tarot cards and had people do them. I'd looked at astrology and that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say I was an expert. I wouldn't say I was a believer in any of them particularly, or really a disbeliever.
If these things exist, surely it should be possible for all of us to be able to do them to some degree.
It's not that she was a confirmed believer in all of it, or neither was she a kind of, this has all got a very rational explanation. She really wanted to find out about some of the stuff and really wanted to experience some of the stuff.
This is the right way to go.
So you need to keep
And
asking her.
They're pointing that way, so if we keep going this way.
Oh, I see.
To gain the experience she needed, Jane was taught by the most respected leaders in the various psychic disciplines. But when out in the field, Jane had to tread carefully.
In the right direction.
You can't just steam in and be all scientific when you're dealing with people's beliefs. Maybe some people are going to have, you know, that much talent at doing them, and some people are going to have more. But yeah, the idea is, I believe they can be taught. You really get a lot more specific insight, I think, by watching somebody teach, because they're deconstructing what it is that they do.
For her, the stuff does come into her head, and it's almost as if she doesn't know where it's coming from, and almost as if she doesn't know that she's doing the kind of medium bit, that she's doing the communicating bit, but she does, and she's really, really good at it.
And on top of which, you have not only done something which is more than any of the students I've ever worked with have done, you have worked both ways successfully.
I can't believe it. But I have to say that I really didn't think I'd be experiencing anything odd in the course of this. You just never know what to expect with this subject, which is probably why I like it so much.
So what were the big surprises for Jane and her team in the last year?
I was just completely awestruck. Oh my God.
Their first programme dealt with psychometry, the psychic art of gleaning information from inanimate objects.
I was handed a watch that belonged to someone, and all I knew was that they were in a certain part of London.
I didn't have any clues, just the watch, and I had to psychometrise the watch and then somehow discover exactly who owned it.
I was given a choice of 3 locations, one of which they were connected with, and the other 2 that they weren't connected with. I was also given 3 sealed envelopes with photographs of the locations.
So did Jane master the art?
I didn't feel anything at all, but I took a guess at the one that I thought was right. I wasn't allowed to open that till the end. I also then went to each location in the part of London to try and match the watch to one of the locations.
After visiting all 3 possible locations, I was really confused. My head was pulling one way and my intuition another.
Well, the outcome was kind of surprising.
That's great. Fantastic.
But there were a couple more big surprises right under her nose that she discovered while investigating the traditional art of dowsing.
Water divining is an extremely ancient practice, and it's certainly the first thing you think about when you think about dowsing.
And we had map dowsing, where you douse with the pendulum.
I'll ask the pendulum, can you please show me where the lake is?
It does seem unbelievably reliable.
This is getting more exciting.
It is.
We had some startling things happen.
You've just got to believe what the rods tell you. You just believe in them. Wow! There it is.
We were doing all sorts of odd things, like trying to, drawing a map of a shop that I'd never been into and that someone had hidden something in, and I tried to douse with the pendulum.
So you're getting a signal now?
Well, I think so, yeah. Am I?
You're getting a signal now?
It's doing something.
OK, fine. Let's draw a line there.
Right.
X marks the spot.
And then drove 30 miles to this shop.
Is this the location of the hidden object?
Yet another shot of me going, wow, how does this work? That did seem pretty amazing. This is what kind of drives me to keep on, and this is what's been so amazing about the show, because there are things that should not work, that completely defy logic, and yet they do seem to happen.
That's all very well when luck's on your side, but how do you fit the supernatural into a shooting schedule?
When we're going out filming, as normal, when you're directing, when you're doing any sort of shoot, we do organise a schedule, but unfortunately for this kind of subject, the only thing we can organise is ourselves. We think, we hope, we expect, we're told that things are going to happen, but of course they don't always happen. You can't predict what's going to go on. And, you know, ordinarily cameras are made for filming me and you and the world that we see. Not only do things not happen when we expect them to, but things happen, but we can't see them. That's quite weird, because when you're talking to somebody, you're sitting there talking to you, and they're saying, okay, and yeah, I'm in this room, and there she is now. And you're thinking, yeah, right, where is she now?
The lady came and just kissed the top of her head.
We're relying on their descriptions of what's going on, or trying some way to represent that. And that's been one of the difficult things, and also it's kind of fairly unpredictable.
Already, Jane and Peter had experienced more than their fair share of the extraordinary. Join us in part 2, when we'll take a closer look at what Jane and the crew could and couldn't predict. And did they capture a real ghost on film? Join us after the break.
I'm just completely startled.